Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Today we're going to do Ghazal 1474 from Divan-i and it really goes with what we were talking about in the Fihi sessions. The physicians, the true physicians, divine physicians. Maulana is going to talk about those in this Ghazal. He says, طبیبیم، حکیمیم، ز بغداد رسیدیم. We're the physicians, sages who've come from Baghdad. Let's read it in Persian first, as we usually do, and then English, and then we'll talk about it. Ustad Muhammad Sahib Aziz, if you have the energy.
Yes, inshallah, sure. Ya Haq, حکیمیم، طبیبیم، ز بغداد رسیدیم. بسی علتیان را ز غم بازخریدیم. سبلهای کهن را، غم بی سر و بن را، ز رگ‌هاش و ز پیهاش به چنگاله کشیدیم. طبیبان فصیحیم که شاگرد مسیحیم. بسی مرده گرفتیم، در او روح دمیدیم. بپرسید از آنها که دیدند نشانها، که تا شکر بگویند که ما از چه رهیدیم. رسیدند طبیبان ز ره دور غریبان، غریبانه نمودند دواها که ندیدیم. سر غصه بکوبیم، غم از خانه بروبیم. همه شاهد و خوبیم، همه چون مه عیدیم. طبیبان الهی ز کس مزد نخواهیم، که ما پاک روانیم نه طماع و پلیدیم. مپندار که این نیز هلیله است و بلیله است، که این شهره عقاقی ز فردوس کشیدیم. حکیمان خبیریم که قاروره نگیریم، که ما در تن رنجور چو اندیشه دویدیم. دهان باز مکن هیچ که اغلب همه جغدند، دگر لاف مپران که ما باز پریدیم.
Allah, thank you. Thank you. Kenzajan, would you mind reading the translation?
Yalla, bismillah. We are sages, we are physicians, we have arrived from Baghdad. We have ransomed many of the afflicted from the bonds of sorrow. The ancient veils upon the eyes, the griefs without beginning or end, we have torn them out from veins and sinews with our talons. We are eloquent physicians, we are disciples of Christ. We have taken many who were lifeless and breathed a soul into them. Ask those who have witnessed the signs, so they may give thanks and tell what we delivered them from. The physicians have arrived, strangers from a distant road. In a wondrous manner they showed us cures we had never seen. We crush the head of grief, we sweep sadness from the house. We are all comely and beautiful, all like the fair moon of Eid. We are divine physicians, we ask no age from anyone, for we are pure of spirit, not greedy and corrupt. Do not think this is mere Balearic Mirobalan, for it is from paradise that we have brought forth these renowned medicines. We are expert sages who take no flask of urine, for we run through the ailing body as swiftly as a thought. Do not open your mouth, for most others are owls. Boast no more, for we are falcons who have taken flight.
Thank you, Kenzajan. So this Ghazal it's the prophets and the awliya speaking. They say Hakimim, Tabibim. So you had Tabib, the physician, and the Hakim. A lot of the time in Islamic civilization, they were used interchangeably. So the physician was also called Hakim. But Hakim is always wisdom. It's a deeper than just the physician that knows the diseases of the body. And Maulana always uses both. Also in Nainame, he says, love is our Plato and our Galen. And Plato is, of course, the Hakim, the sage, who knows the soul, the diseases of the soul, whereas Jalinus, Jalinus, or the medicine of Galen, it was all about the body. But we know both. We are Hakim and we are Tabib. We know the diseases of the soul and we know the diseases of the body, because ultimately the body and the soul are interconnected. As again in the Nainame, Maulana says, Tan ze jan و جان ز تن مستور نیست. The body is not veiled from the soul, and the soul is not separated from the body. So what we do to our body affects our soul. What we do to our soul affects our body. Now, Maulana says, we are physicians, we are sages, and we've arrived from Baghdad. And Baghdad, of course, in Maulana's time, actually in Maulana's time, it was destroyed. But before that, for many years, it was the center of learning, the center of the Islamic civilization. And Maulana uses Baghdad, in his poems as the spiritual Baghdad, where the gifts of God are given. And literally, Baghdad is Persian for God-given, so God's gift. And Maulana plays with that, and also with Hamadan. So Hamadan, another city, but he says, from this Baghdad, Dil Hamadan Gardat. The heart will know everything. So Hamadan is like knowing everything. So he plays with the literal meaning of words sometimes. So we've arrived from Baghdad, and then what we do, we ransom the afflicted. We rescue, we save souls that are afflicted with diseases of the soul. And that's ultimately greed, pride. As again in the Nayname, Maulana says, Ey davay nakhwat u namus ma. You're the medicine to our pride and our greed. Ey to aflatun u jali nus ma. And you're our Plato and our Galen. So you rescue us from sorrow, because this sorrow comes from attachment to this world. Once we're not attached to this world, there is no grief. Sabalhay kukhun ra. These veils upon the eyes. So sabal is cataract, films upon the eye that makes you blind ultimately. It makes you unable to see. And then the sorrow that has no beginning, no end. So it's not a normal sorrow. It's the existential sorrow, the sorrow of being separated from God. And a lot of the time, what other physicians in this world offer is temporary pain relief. Have this food and forget about your existential pain. Go on a holiday for 2 weeks, watch this film or go on this app. It's temporary relief. But what these physicians do, the divine physicians do, no, they take it out. It's a surgery. They take it out from your veins and sinews. So it's maybe painful, but ultimately they rescue you from these illnesses. طبیبان فصیحیم که شاگرد مسیحیم. We are eloquent. Why? Because we're disciples of Christ. So again, Maulana says, yes, we're physicians, but we're also disciples of Masih. And he is in Islam, in the Quran also, he has Dami Isa, the breath of Jesus, gives life to the dead. And in the Quran, it says that I make a bird of clay and then I breathe into it and the bird flies into the sky. And that's symbolic as well. Dead hearts, I can breathe into them a breath of life and they can fly into the sky. This is what Anbiya do to you. This is what Awliya do to you. You're lifeless and they will give you a new life. They will breathe a soul into you. And if you don't believe me, ask those who've seen these signs. And they will say with thanks what they've been delivered from. So the miracles of the prophets, the miracles of Sayyidina Rasulullah, it's not splitting them all. No, one of the greatest miracles of the prophets is how they transformed people. People who were idolaters, people who didn't care about anything beyond this world, and then they became prayerful. How did Maulana himself, how did he transform people of Anatolia? That's the miracle. That's the karamat. So ask those people who are transformed by this power, and they will tell you with thanks. They will say that these physicians arrived from a distant road and they showed us medicines that we hadn't seen before. We knew the usual medicines, but this was something else. This was something completely different nature from another world. It had the fragrance of paradise. Prayer has a fragrance, and the fragrance of paradise. So prayer is the medicine. It's the medicine that's not like the medicines in this world. It's not herbs. It's not chemicals. It's from another world. And this is the cure that the prophets brought with themselves. We had not seen such cures before. And they said to us, those prophets, those awliya, they said to us, "Sar qusse bekubim, gham az khane berubim." Just you sweep sadness from the house. You clean all the house, the cobwebs and all the dust. That's what we do. We sweep the sadness from the house. We make your house, that is your heart, we make it clean and radiant and bright. And this is what the prophets can help you with, to purify yourself, purify your heart. This is طهر بيتي, cleanse my house. Ultimately, the human heart is the house of Allah. It is the sanctuary of Allah. So sweep sadness from your house, and then you will see beauty. You will see comeliness. They're all like the moon of Eid. The moon is always beautiful, but the moon of Eid is exceptionally beautiful because it comes after a period of anticipation. And when you have that yearning and longing, then you will see the beauty of Anbiya, the beauty of awliya. After that longing and after that waiting, they're like the moon of Eid. طبیبان الهیم ز کس مزد نخواهیم. And one of the characteristics of these divine physicians is everyone else wants something. They want something back from you. But these prophets, they get their wages from Allah. As in the Quran, in Surah Al-Anbiya, different prophets, they all say, we're not asking for wages. And ajri illa ala Allah. My wages come from Allah. We are pure, and the prophets are pure of spirit. They're not corrupt. They're not greedy. That's hamma palidim. So a pure soul is the signature of prophethood and the signature of true sainthood. Those of you who were here when we were doing the Masnavi, in the Masnavi, the first story, it's about a maidservant who's fallen ill. And that maidservant represents the human soul. And there are physicians who come to the king. So the king is desperate for this maidservant to be cured. There are physicians from, Maulana says, from left and right. Shah طبیبان جمع کرد از چپ و راست. So first thing the king does, the king looks for horizontal solutions, left and right, different parts of the kingdom. And physicians come, and those physicians ask for wages. They will say, okay, if we cure your maidservant, what will you give us? They're here for an agenda. They're here for something. And then they will say, we are like Christ. We know everything about medicine. They're so proud in themselves. Instead of pointing to God, they point to themselves. And ultimately, they don't say, inshallah. They don't say, if God wills. They will say, we will cure this maidservant. They will not say, inshallah. And Maulana says, ترک استثناء مرادم قسوتی است. What I mean by not saying inshallah is hardness of the heart. They relied on themselves. Instead of relying on Allah, they relied on their own knowledge and their own skill. نی همین گفتن که عارض حالتی است. There are people who say inshallah, but they don't mean it. It's just out of habit. And there are other people who don't say inshallah, but their entire being is inshallah. ای بسا ناورد استثناء به گفت جان او با جان استثناست جفت. There are people who don't express inshallah, but their own being is inshallah. So these divine physicians are the ones who are one with inshallah. They don't point to themselves, they point to God, they point to Allah. And they're not greedy, they're not corrupt like those physicians in the first story of the Muslim. مپندار که این نیز حلیل است و بلیل است. Don't think that this is halile and balile. So these are common herbal medicines in Maulana's time. Mirabalin and Balearic powders. Everyone knew about them in Maulana's time, and that's why they come up again and again. Also in that story, it says halile. So it's kind of like aspirin in our days, I guess. But don't think it's halile and balile. No, this is from paradise because it has the fragrance of paradise. We've brought these medicines with us from the other world, from the unseen. حکیمان خبیریم که قاروره نگیریم. And we are physicians who do not rely on قاروره. And again, in Maulana's time, when you went to a doctor, you went to a physician, the first thing they would ask for is urine sample in a qarooreh. So, and then they would look at the urine and its color, its smell, its sediment, whatever it was. And from that, they would deduce what sort of illness you had. Now, Maulana says these physicians, they don't need a urine sample because they run through the ailing body. They're just like a thought inside you. So their knowledge is immediate. Their knowledge is not dependent on urine. So Maulana also in this Ghazal indirectly is kind of, criticizing the philosophers. The first bait Maulana says, علتیان را I mean, the meaning of علتیان is those who are afflicted, but also the people who are, علة in Arabic is cause and effect. So again, the philosophers were always talking about علت and ma'lul and, cause and effect. So there's also a hint of, criticizing that kind of philosophy. And Maulana says, my method is the method of the prophets. It's not the method of the philosophers. So they rely on samples. They rely on deduction and reasoning. But the prophets, they don't need that. They have direct experience. They have direct knowledge. که ما در تن رنجور چو اندیشه دویدیم, like a thought. And then he says, دهان باز مکن هیچ. So be silent. Do not open your mouth. The others are like owls. And owls in Persian poetry, they're quite ominous. So owls are in abandoned places, in ruins, and miserable. They're thought to be miserable. So the others are miserable. But we are the ones who are falcons. And the falcon flies in daytime. And he's close to the king. And he has that nobility and regal nature. And we've already taken flight. So while they are the owls who are hooting at night and miserably crying, we are the ones who have taken flight and are flying to the heavens and are flying back to the king, back to the sultan. Yes, Kenzich.
Yeah, thank you. If I may, it's just the whole poem also, there's this incredible use of language. Like, I think it's Bait 5 where it's gharib and gharib, like stranger, but okay, strangers, okay, but also wonder, it's gharib, like it's amazing, it's just wonderful. And then like there's so many, and hakim, and what it means is the sage, is the physician, it's the one who knows. Then the whole idea of the philosopher that you pointed out, like there's so much in this. In terms of the use of language, which is absolutely beautiful. And the other thing I wanted to point out is that image of running as fast as a thought. This is an absolutely beautiful image. It's just like these, I mean, aside from everything that you've explained, there's a very deep beauty in this Ghazal.
Yes, as swift as a thought. It also reminds me of Nizami Ganjavi. When he talks about the mi'raj of the Prophet, he says, چو شاید که افکار ما در دمی بگردد به پیرامون عالمی. When you see that our thoughts in one instant go from one side of the world to the other side of the world. So at one instant you think of Antarctica, you go immediately to Antarctica. You think of Mexico, you go immediately to Mexico. So that's how swift our thinking is. تن او که صافی تر از جان ماست, the Prophet's body, which is purer than our thoughts. تن او که صافی تر از جان ماست. If in one instant he goes up there and comes back, then that's acceptable. If our thoughts can go all the way and come back, why not the Prophet? So this idea of swift as a thought, he uses that in his Mi'raj Name, Nizami Ganjavi. Yes, Ustad Muhammad.
Yes, in another part of the Masnavi, so we are talking about the Hakim, Khabir, the type of the different physicians. So in the Masnavi also, it's a beautiful story, and Maulana said, ما طبیبانیم شاگردان حق بحر قلزم دید ما را فانطلق. آن طبیبان طبیعت دیگرند که به دل از راه نبضی بنگرند. ما به دل بی واسطه خوش بنگریم که از فراست ما به عالی منظریم. آن طبیبان قضا اند ثمار جان حیوانی بدیشان استوار. ما طبیبان فعالیم و مقال ملهم ما پرتو نور جلال. And at the end says آن طبیبان را بود بولی دلیل وین دلیل ما بود وحی جلیل.
Allah.
Same as you said, حکیمان خبیریم که قاروره نگیریم که ما در تن رنجور چه اندیشه دویدیم. Same idea, same as says. And in another words, آن طبیبان را بود بولی دلیل. I
Yes.
think bowl and qarur is the same. آن طبیبان را بود بولی دلیل و این دلیل ما بود وحی جلیل.
Wahyi Jalil. Allah. Thank you. Really, I mean, it really goes with this passage. آن طبیبان را بود بولی دلیل. What guides them is urine. But for us, the dalil, for us, what guides us is the wahy, is the revelation of Allah. And that can be both the outward revelation that is in the Quran and the inward revelation. That's, as the Sufis call wahy dil, or the heart. The heart can have that direct experience. And yeah, he says, on طبیبان غذا and ثمار. They are the physicians of food. جان حیوانی بدیشان استوار. It's the animal soul that's dependent on them. So this physical body. But then there's another type of physician, and that's the physicians that get their light from ملهم ما پرتو نور جلال. We get inspired by the rays of the majesty of Allah, the light of the majesty of Allah. ما به دل بی واسطه خوش بنگریم. We look at the heart without mediation, without anything in between. Because we have the farasa, we have the insight that those physicians don't have. So yeah, may we inshallah recognize these physicians from Baghdad, from the Baghdad of the soul, and know their value and welcome them, because ultimately when we recognize these physicians and welcome them, that's when we're saved from sorrow and from all these diseases of the heart.